Greetings. Here we are with another delightful video of me overviewing a ttrpg product, and this time it is Absalom, the City of Lost Omens for Pathfinder 2nd Edition Legacy, which is the 2021 version to 2023. However, this book, there is no major difference between Pathfinder 2nd Edition Classic versus the current Pathfinder 2nd Edition as of this production of this video, that this book needs any heavy modification to be useful with the newer version. So consider the review to be both for both versions, okay? And as I said, MSRPs for $54.99. There is over 250 locations as well as 400 NPCs. There's also one ancestry in this book, if I remember correctly. It is a fairly chunky book. It is one of the thicker books. One of the books that is very much in the same thickness or size as it happens to be the Grand Bazaar. It is about 400 pages, including the advertisements. You got a nice blue in page, a nice big table of contents that is exceedingly easy to read with the standard piece of artwork on the bottom. The sections are Absalom, page 6 to 77. The Guide to the City, starting at 78 to 89. Ascendant Court at page 90. The Coins at 106. The Docks at 120. The East Gate at page 132. Foreign Quarter is 148. Ivy District is 162. Petal District is 178. Principal Quarter is 190. The Puddles is page 202. Westgate is 212. Wise Quarter is 226. The Undercity is page 240. Walls, Gates, and Keeps is page 250. The Outskirts is 260. NPC Glossary starts at 268. And Adventure Toolbox starts at page 390. So let's get started here. As we enter into the first chapter, we have this nice big extra double page piece of artwork. Apparently everyone is after Ezran the Wizard with great intensity and rage or hatred. I'm not certainly know why. Apparently they're not after the rogue at all. You have the basic information page for Absalom. It has, please note, there's the name, alignment, the classification, which is a metropolis. Government is Grand Consul. The population with rough percentages of each ancestry. Language is any. Religions all. Primary imports are books, coffee, culture, artifacts, pack animals, spices, and tea. Primary exports are alcohol, armor, art, fashion, literature, lumber, magic items, metal, pearls, precious gems, seafood, ships, sky metal, textiles, weapons, woodcraft. There's a short list of threats, and the city at the center of the world is a special theme. Please note it is a level 20 settlement. So, there you go. It quickly goes over the basic history of it and the various core districts, major notations such as the Ascendant Court and the Coins, the Docks, the Eastgate. This is just a quick summary of each one to get you the basic knowledge of it. And then there on the side columns, there's important little side details about Absalom that don't really fit into like a strict category, such as a notation about Shadow Absalom. When you go into the flip side, into the ethereal / shadow realm of Absalom, there is a mirror version of it in the other world, that where there's people that live there as well. You have a section on titles in Absalom, such as ecclesiastical, lords, nomarchs, primarch, scion lord, sword pin champion, trade master. And then it goes through as yet again, same thing here. Quick history of Absalom from the earliest days through the current time. We have a section on governance, such as the system of law in which they use, as well as the police force and documentarians and references to what kind of crimes going on in Absalom and stuff like that. So as I said, this book pretty much covers everything that you need to know. Culture and customs of Absalom. Various information on architecture of Absalom. Pastimes such as popular hobbies that occur in Absalom as well. Transportation. Trade and industry. Guilds and unions. Drugs, slavery, the Shadow War information right here. Noble houses and their symbols. Various organizations, the military, Guide to the City, which basically goes deeper into each section of Absalom. Location index types and stuff like that. This is probably one of the more boring sections of the book. Quick table on rumors in Absalom. Absalom shops. Yet again, a quick table of what kind of shops you can find in Absalom. There is yet again another book called The Grand Bazaar that actually covers this section in greater detail. That's also about as thick as this, which actually I think it actually has the race I was thinking of that was in this book. I was thinking of Poppets, and I think Poppets are in that book as opposed to this one. You have a master map of the city. This is zoomed in on the center section of it, called the Ascendant Court. It covers over all the important locations within the Ascendant Court district. Numbered out here, so 14, 15, and 16. And then you have the section called the Coins, which is just south of the Ascendant Court. You got the quick map right here, or the mini map. And then the bigger version of it, with all the numbers for all the locations that list out after this. And as I said, this book pretty much just covers all the major sections of the book. This is the docks. Mini map right here yet again. Basic district sum right here. Yet again, the map of the docks, which is actually, weirdly enough, set vertically, but it's horizontally. There is a compass right here that denotes which direction is north, south, east, and west. And then all the little sections for the docks and so forth. And then the East Gate, continuing on. I'm not going to show you every single thing in this book because it pretty much covers all the... I'm going to flip faster. Yet again, Wise Quarter, which is the district where most of the wizards are and the academics. Gates and halls, outskirts. And then I skipped a whole bunch of pages and landed on the NPC gallery. And it has all the important NPCs, or not all the important NPCs, but a lot of the important NPCs within Absalom at the time of the Age of Lost Omens, and most of the campaigns and adventures that occur in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. It largely just covers like the name, what alignment they are, sex, race or ancestry, what class they are, and level, as well as a paragraph or two on the character for the more minor ones. You got a long section on that. There's really no stats in there for them, so I guess you have to roll up them if the party gets a little hostile. And it's a pretty long section. And then we have NPCs sorted by type. So you have your list of your ambassadors, your ancients, your artists, your artisans, assassins, beggars, children, city watch, and so forth. And what level they are. And then you have your adventurer's toolkit, which includes all the list for all the different drugs that are used in Absalom. A few ancestries, such as the Azarketi. And Azarketi NPCs. And there you go. I was right, there was one in here, but it wasn't the one I was thinking. The Grand Bazaar has the Poppet, which is a classic, and I love it. This is an essential book if you are playing or running, not playing, but running Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and you're specifically doing a lot of adventures in and around Absalom or the island of Kortos. If you basically decided to start with the beginner box for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, I got the lid right here. I got it open. If you're starting with the beginner box and just having your party adventure forth from there, and then you're going to go into Agents of Edgewatch or Abomination Curse, this book is one of those essential books for the Game Master to have, so you can flesh out the city of Absalom. However, even in spite of the fact that this is an essential book for it, and then this is a second tier essential book, not first tier, the adventures do cover a lot of the essential information that you truly do need for them. This is great for expanding upon the city of Absalom in greater detail. And then you throw on the Grand Bazaar for even more fun in Absalom. That would be the next level up on there. However, I do have to have my own personal note on this. I do recommend this book for those game masters that truly are obsessed with wanting to have everything for a setting that they might be running. And this is definitely one of those high value books, as well as the Grand Bazaar for Absalom and the island of Kortos. But I had to set it down for 5 seconds here. I personally find, as a game master, that having a super massive city is not a benefit to the game master, and is not necessarily a benefit to the players. A lot of people in the modern day tend to want to have super huge cities because they lived in super huge cities, or etc., which is not entirely accurate to medieval times. Smaller villages and small cities are closer to population sizes of most medieval nations, even the capitals in ancient times. But also, that a lot of the extra large cities in an adventure or campaign, such as Absalom, like 90% of it's going to go unused. You can literally remove like 90% of all buildings and shrink it by 90% to something that's only 10% the size, and it works out perfectly fine for the game master and works out perfectly fine for the players. In fact, is superior for the game master to run because you don't have so much stuff to read through. If you're a person like me who can read something through and through and generally remember the bulk of the information, not 100% accurate, but remember the bulk of the information, such as the lore and the theme and the overall structure, so a really big city is really good. A really big city is okay to maybe positive. However, if you are like most people who basically can't read an entire book and then remember the bulk of the information, it is not a good thing to have. So if you are a game master who truly wants to have a massive city and you happen to be running adventures in Absalom, this book is, as I said, a second tier recommended. There's primary recommended, and there's second tier, and then there's tertiary. Basically, the prime is like absolutely go ahead and get that, and then the second tier is like, yes, this is really useful, and has a lot of good stuff in it, and you may in fact need it depending on the type of players you have. However, for the most part, you don't absolutely need it. It is, however, very nice to have, just in case if there's something in this book that is really useful for you as a game master. If you happen to have, say, like a bunch of people who are playing in Absalom, and they want to play like a kid's adventure or a sailor's adventure or something like that, and you could just pick out like a section of Absalom to adventure around in. I want to like take 5 seconds here and find such a thing. Let's just say you. Now this is the problem with this kind of thing, is you're now noticing that I am trying to. I know that there is a section Puddles 202. So let's say you happen to be your party happens to be really poor, and they are basically playing like poor beggars trying to climb up from nothing into something, and they started out in the puddles, which is this flooded area down here or in the left corner of Absalom. And you basically spend a whole lot of time traveling around here, kind of like a ghetto Venice, and trying to solve problems of people. Something like this book would be useful for that. However, let's be frank, for the most part, for most player, the vast majority, like 95% of players, a city for any ttrpg, I mean any ttrpg, probably should only needs to be about this big as this section right here, or about this section right here. You truly don't need that many buildings. But anyways, if you were to have like a small group adventure of characters that are really low level, that are trying to dig themselves out of poverty, and they started out into something like this, and they travel around these little tiny mini districts or sub-districts, or neighborhoods, solving problems and trying to survive against disease and crime and stuff like that, and they try to expand out over time. You could have a very or a fairly epic feel to itself. However, as I said, this is one of the smallest sections in all of Absalom, the puddles, and this is already far larger than you ever really need for a campaign or adventure. So there's sort of this weird pattern that sometimes crops up in some companies where they make cities that are so vastly big that they're actually become a detriment to themselves. And if you are the type of game master that worries about accuracy and information, something like this is absolutely a curse in itself that should be burned horribly in a fire, and people should have rocks chucked at them potentially for making something like this, because something like this will actually create deep issues in campaigns or adventures, because you'll have a game master who can like memorize most things, and then you'll have that one guy who will read the entire book and dedicate every little bit in detail to his memory. And the game master will try to edit or adjust things as it needs to be for his campaign, for the themes. And that player becomes obsessed because the game master fudged the number of buildings in a neighborhood down or up. So there's problems from having super huge books on cities for TTRPG systems. However, if you don't have any players that are like that or are super obsessive about exact details and have eidetic memories or photographic memories, you're okay. A book like this is handy for learning a city structure and having a play pen for your party to play around in, and already having a large amount of information on that thing. However, there is this tip point where it tips off into a detriment. And that detriment line is based on the fact of how exact in information does the party want and the game master wants. And the need to keep authentically accurate to lore or details in that system. So if you can play with squint rules, this is perfectly fine. So there you go. As I said, I do recommend this book if you are a game master that is running campaigns or adventures in and around Absalom. And I would also recommend you check out the Grand Bazaar book. I also did a video of that a long time ago on this channel. However, there is a warning that sometimes having tons and tons and tons of information on your at hand can actually cause the game to bog down, cause conflicts, and ruin the experience for people. So please don't get super obsessed about every little detail, okay? So I do recommend this. This is like a 3.5, 3.75 as a book is concerned, as a reference source for Absalom. And you also have the Guild Grand Bazaar, which also adds on more information about the bazaar that's in Absalom, as well as more details. For players, this book is not at all required. You don't need to even touch this book. The only thing in this book that is of any value to you as a player is this really thin, there's this tiny group of pages in the book where you actually have an ancestry in it with some feats. And it's not even as thick as I actually made it out to be. It's actually way thinner. It's about this big. That is for the players. So for players, this book is valued at a 3 or less, a sub 3-star product. Technically, there's all the information in this book is good. There is no major problems in organization in this book other than the fact that the table of contents should be way more robust than it is. The table of contents should be like 4 pages long as opposed to the 2 pages it is in the book. But there is really no point in buying this book for players. This is a book for game masters. Also, they're very nice is to advertise Agents of Edgewatch in this book, as that is the most relevant campaign to this book. And they also have the Grand Bazaar book in here as well, advertised in the back. But overall, if you're a game master who wants to run adventures in Absalom, this is a get, as well as the Grand Bazaar. Just keep in mind not to obsess about the exact accuracy of all the information. If you are finding yourself in a situation where you have the compulsion to open the book in the middle of the campaign, in middle of the session, unless you happen to have a bookmark marking that section of the book, I would literally not apply any effort into opening the book. I will push it away and tell the players, I'm going to have to look that up in this really thick-ass book, and it will take way too long to do so. So I will look it up after the game and message you guys as to what it says about that thing for now. So unless it's something super relevant and to the moment, in which case then I guess you're in the dirty situation of needing to either ask someone or just improvise on the fly, which defeats the point of the book. So I do recommend it, but I recommend it with an asterisk for game masters and players. Players, unless you have an insane amount of money that you want to toss and throw around, I would advise not getting this book if you don't have that money. If you do have money to toss around, sure, go ahead and get this book. Read the information in the book. That way, at least then there's a second person at the table to help the game master find something if they do choose to make the bad decision of trying to hunt for it in the book. So, I hope you have a delightful day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe. Check out my page as well as all my other videos. I cover not just Pathfinder 2nd Edition and Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition or Starfinder, but I also cover other stuff like I pull out books like Vessin or Call of Cthulhu or various other gaming systems such as Dragon's Bane or Warhammer Wrath and Glory 2nd Edition and so forth. So there you go. There's also polls on my community tab. Go ahead and vote on the past 3 or 4 polls as of seeing this video if you're interested in seeing them, or vote on all of them if you want. All polls are relevant forever as long as they stay up. I occasionally will look back through all my polls and see what kind of changes. If I notice a lot of people want, say like this gets really highly voted and a lot of watch hours, I will do more stuff with Vessin, and I'll go deeper into it and read through the details in greater depth and bring that video out at some point in the future. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a delightful day, a nice night, a wonderful weekend, a magnificent month, and see you next time. Ciao.